So sick of fighting for this. The more that I let you win, you win. I'm sick of standing on pins. I think I'm gonna give in. I'm sick of feeling so sick, so sick. The more that I fight, the noise in my life, the more I fight, the worse it's starting the fire. I wanna survive, I wanna ignite, but I'm still resting on the edge of my night, begging for a sign of gravity, hoping for a change beneath my feet. Come show me, just show me my memory. So show me how to forgive, or show me how to forget the words that you love to spit. I'm sick of fighting for grip. I know I'm gonna give in because it makes me so sick, so sick, so sick. The more that I fight, the noise in my life, the more I fight, the worse it's starting the fire. I wanna survive, I wanna ignite, but I'm still resting on the edge of my night, begging for a sign of gravity, hoping for a change beneath my feet. Come show me, just show me my memory. The more and more that you speak, I think we're sanity down, down, down to the bottom. The more and more that you speak, I think we're sanity down, down, down to the bottom. I'm sick of standing on pins. I think I'm gonna give in. I'm sick of feeling so sick, so sick, so sick. The more and more that you speak, down, down to the bottom. The more and more that you speak, I think we're sanity down, down, down to the bottom. So show me how to forgive, or show me how to forget the words that you love to spit. I'm sick of fighting for grip. I know I'm gonna give in because it makes me so sick, so sick. The more that I fight, the noise in my life, the more I fight, the worse it's starting the fire. I wanna survive, I wanna ignite, but I'm still resting on the edge of my night, begging for a sign of gravity, hoping for a change beneath my feet. Come show me, just show me my memory. Listen, you're knocking out my bare skin. Every little ounce I've got of sanity is wearing thin. You are the one standing by yourself. You are the one thing I can't live without. But I know, yeah, I know you need time to figure it out. You're on the way out, and you already know. You lost the bet now, and it's starting to show. 'Cause there's a let down, running from your bones. You're on the way out, way You're on the way out, and you already know. You must have been now, and it's starting to show. 'Cause there's a letdown, hiding from your bones. You're on the way out, way out. You're on the way out, way out. You're on the way out, and you already know. You must have been now, and it's starting to show. 'Cause there's a letdown, hiding from your bones. You're on the way out, way out. Standing by your soul. You are the one thing I can live without. Yeah, I know you need time to figure it out. You're on the way out, way out.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome to the 7th race, Season 4 of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series, presented by Rowdy Energy, live here on Podium eSports, the Big Green Egg 180 from iRacing's virtual Michigan International Speedway in Brooklyn, Michigan. James Pike, the voice of Podium eSports here, alongside Kenneth Bueno, Terry Radford, Ryan Bauer, producing all the shots you see this evening, and cameras, as always, provided by Battle Beaver. So much to talk about in this penultimate race of the regular season, Kenneth, but this is going to be a fun race, and we'll focus in on tonight before we start looking at the ramifications that tonight may have, because this is a combo that almost did not make the calendar last year. It came in with maybe about 3 or 4 hours to spare before the green flag and became an instant classic, became one of the best races from a season ago, and now here we are. We're back in Season 4, and this time it's on the calendar proper. Should be a good show.
I mean, why not run it back when you have such a good race as we did last season with this combo? I mean, it's safe to say that the drivers liked it, the fans liked it, the owners liked it. They wanted to bring it back properly and bring it back in the way that it should be, close to the playoffs, with a lot of tension on the line, with a lot of stuff that should be moved by the time the checkered flag waves here in the Big Green Egg 180 from Michigan. So at least with the way things are going to change, this is going to provide to be a fantastic show. The drivers going to put it all, and for the drivers who haven't been here, they're going to experience a brand new show for the very first time, and that's going to be exciting as well.
We also need to look at how the points are going to shuffle, because with this shortened regular season in comparison to the summer series that Monday Night Racing runs, wins become that much more valuable in the sense that it gives you an automatic ticket to the playoffs, and everybody who gets a win, Terry Radford, will be in no matter what. You see the point standings coming into this evening. David Schildhouse has 2 wins. Everybody else up there has 1. And then look at the mess right around the playoff cutoff. You've got, 6 or 7 drivers within the span of about 10 to 15 points one another, Terry.
Yeah, you got Garrett Smithley down there at 169. He's 20 off of Ford Martin there in the 11th place spot. I mean, anything can happen in this. And like you talked about, a short and regular season. They're going into the closing stages here. We're getting close to the All-Star race. So it's going to be crucial tonight for these 87s out here at Michigan to pick up the pace. And somebody like Ford Martin, or if people like Justin Malillo or Gabe Wood or Raja Karuth wins, well, that puts Matt Stolnick out. So wins are always important, and right now it's even more crucial.
We also, for the first time tonight, have team standings, Kenneth. So a little bit about the math behind these. These are combined points from the average finish of the top 3 drivers for each team in each race. So we take one individual race. If you've got, maybe say 5 drivers on your team, you take the top 3 finishers, average that point total, repeat that for all the races we've had. That's how we get the math that you see now on your screens. And maybe no surprise, especially when you consider the strength of Colin Fern and Kyle Busch, that you see Brandon Built Motorsports and Kyle Busch Motorsports top of the standing.
Yeah, of course, they've performed well over the course of the entire season up to this point. But, I mean, don't count out drivers within the Crypto Autosport camp or the Kligerman Sport camp. Back in 3rd and 4th, they've got a substantial gap to catch up to KBM and Brandon Bill. But nonetheless, with their teams having a lot more drivers, with them having the strength in numbers themselves, we should expect them over the rest of the season to pick that up and really start to shuffle. As you take a look at the Season 4 schedule, only 2 races left up until this point. James, you've got tonight, Chicagoland with the Xfinity cars, an all-star race to break through the middle, but then that's when everything begins. Playoffs begin at Talladega. So with the team standings, that's going to matter all the way to the championship, but the drivers within those teams need to make sure they want to get into the drivers championship to extend that team championship game.
And everybody wants to be part of the first ever team championship. You want that first ever team title in Monday Night Racing, no doubt. But as you said, Kenneth, 2 races left to go in the regular season tonight, and then we'll head to Chicagoland with the Xfinity machines next week before we have a little bit of fun with the Rowdy Energy Fan Vote All-Star Race, which we'll tell you about in just a little bit. But for now, let's look closer at Michigan International Speedway. Tara Radford, take us around this DU Oval that is nearly 50-plus years old.
Well, we packed up our cars and we headed away from the west. We came over here to Michigan International Speedway down here in Brooklyn, Michigan. It opened in 1968. The turns are baked at 18 degrees and the start-finish line's at 19. The back straightaway's at 5 degrees and it's 2 miles long, man. And the pole record was 206 miles an hour by Jeff Gordon in 2014. I don't think these cars are going to get there here tonight, James Pike, but they're going to be fast.
They will indeed be very quick. As we take a closer look at tonight's race, we go for 90 laps, 180 miles, 288 kilometers. Drivers, as always, will have 1 fast repair and 3 sets of tires available to them in the pits if they need them. Tonight, it's a fixed setup with a 75% fuel tank. I mean, you're going to have to pit at least once, twice, potentially 3 times, depending on how you want to play it. But 3 green, white checkers at the end, it always. However, biggest thing to note with these cars, Kenneth Bueno, hands down, no question. Tires, 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 tires. These 1987 stock cars that we're running with tonight absolutely chew through Goodyear Eagles like no other. And there will be major benefit if you can save a set for a potential green, white checker finish.
Yeah, it is going to be a premium, no doubt, James, going into tonight's race. And you say about the cars, I mean, talk about the track as well. I know this isn't the old surface that we have on the iRacing platform, but this track surface is still pretty tough. It's still going to chew up the tires, even if you have a car that can keep them conservative all the way throughout. So you're going to have to keep that in mind. And with only 3 tire changes with cautions, be a little bit careful about where you pick and choose to put on new rubber.
We told you just a few moments ago that we've got an all-star race coming your way in that week between Christmas and New Year's, and these are the combos that you will use. If you're watching on the Podium 2 Twitch channel, you can use the special chat command, VOTE, exclamation point and vote, to pull up the link where you can go onto Twitter and tweet with a photo and one of these hashtags to pick your favorite combination that you might just see in the Monday Night Racing Season 4 All-Star Race presented by Rowdy Energy, and head to the M&R Twitter for more details on that. But a lot of fun combos, some that we've run in the past, some that we haven't had the chance to see, but in either case, a lot of fun to be had on December 27th. Tonight's 1v1 challenge. David Schildhouse going to try and defend his race win with the Next Gens at Phoenix last week against M&R stalwart DJ Cummings, part of NASCAR's website team, working in the big office in Uptown Charlotte. Those two will be going head-to-head in a cash prize, as always, to the top finisher in tonight's race. We'll keep you abreast of that as this race progresses. It is now time for us to begin pre-race ceremony show for the Motor Racing Outreach. Here's Lonnie Clausen with tonight's invocation.
Let's pray. Our Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity that we have to participate in this event today. We thank you for the privilege to live in the United States of America, one nation under God, indivisible with liberty and justice for all. We commit this event to you and may we please you. We'll give you the thanks. In Christ's name we pray. Amen.
And to honor America with her performance of the Star Spangled Banner, here is Rebecca Kimry.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
It is now time to take a look at our starting grid, courtesy of our friends at Bryant Shock Technologies, and our Beef Jerky Unlimited Pole Award winner, James Bickford, this evening with a fast time of 41.154 seconds for Charlotte Phoenix. He'll be joined by last week's winner, David Schildhouse, on the front row. DJ Cummings going head-to-head in that 1v1 with Schildhouse will start third alongside Garrett Smithley, who will roll off from fourth. Anthony Alfredo completes the top five of the grid. Gabe Wood, defending winner of this race, starts sixth. Brandon Brown has got plenty of 87's experience alongside ERL Season 3 champion Adam Cabot in row 4. And the top 10 completed this evening by Gary Sexton and Season 2 M&R champion Will Rogers.
Team Brandon Bill with Colin Fern in the 86 will start in 11th. Robbie Lyons, your defending series champion, will roll off from P12. Raja Caruth in the 44 will line up 13th, but the Ward Martin, league owner, to his outside in P14. Wrapping up the top 15 tonight will be Joshua Balicki, Daytona winner earlier this season. Max Kennan looking for his first win from P16 on the grid. Preston Pardis in the 42 will start in 17th. Stephon Wilson in the 25 will be alongside him. Finalizing the top 20 tonight on the grid will be Brad Perez and Justin Malillo.
Sit back here in 21st, you got Chris Wilner and Dylan Welch. Then you go back here to 22nd, or 23rd and 24th, you got Brian Boris Cook and Stephen Ellis. Jason Keffer and Brett Baldick will be out there on row 13. Going to row 14, we've got Devin Henry and Steve Affont. Row 15 will be the NHRA man himself, Ron Capps, next to Seth Egger.
Defending NHRA Funny Car champion and new team owner, just announced at PRI last week. Michael Massey and Case Calabac will start in 31st and 32nd. Cole Irvin is our Fox Sports app in-race reporter. You'll hear from him momentarily. He'll start alongside Garrett Miller. And the final row, two drivers who didn't set time, Matt Stonek and the newly minted two-time Australian Supercars champion, Shane Van Gisbergen, who makes his Season 4 M&R debut this evening. We'll have a little bit more on him later. But for now, let's tell you the weather in sim before we go green flag racing in this big green egg 180. The current air temperature in sim is 66 degrees Fahrenheit. The current track temp is 88 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds are headed to the northeast at 3 miles an hour. No humidity on the racetrack. And the in-sim time, the default day for iRacing, May 15th, 2021, right around 4:45 p.m. local time. Let's chat with our Fox Sports app in-race reporter from over at Motorsports. It is starting pitcher for the Oakland Athletics. Cole Irvin now joins us. And Cole, new combo, new track, new series, fresh looking car. How excited are you to get behind the wheel and go after it tonight?
I'm excited, man. It's going to be a lot of fun. Just going to do my best here, starting in the back, because I feel like practice Practice was a little sketchy for me, so I'm gonna start out the back and see where we can get to at the end of the race.
How cool is it to be able to represent the whole of the baseball world in Monday Night Racing? We've got people from different sort of sects of society. It's not just motorsports people, and you are carrying the flag for MLB. So for all your baseball buddies, how motivated are you to put on a good show and get a good finish here tonight?
Oh, I'm ready. I'm ready to represent MLB, but mainly the players, though, right now, just because of where we're at and everything. So, I would like to see more guys, baseball guys, actually start driving. So we'll see what happens, but we're gonna have some fun. I'm excited. I love these cars. When I first got onto iRacing, this is when I first started driving. So it's gonna be a lot of fun.
We'll clarify then. That'll be the MLBPA, I suppose.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Fair enough. We'll let you get set for tonight's race. Thanks as always for the time, and we look forward to talking to you a little bit later.
Yeah, sounds good.
It's Cole Irvin, starting pitcher for the Oakland Athletics at a Major League Baseball. For late-breaking stories from pit road before we go green flag racing, here's our pit reporter for the first time this evening. It's Taylor Burris.
2021 champion and 14-time winner in the Australian V8 Supercar, Shane Van Gisbergen makes his Monday Night Racing debut. Of course, last season in Season 3, he picked up multiple wins, in fact, winning the most races out of the Monday Night Racing series last season, running that number 97. One thing to briefly touch on tonight, 2 tires in a late race caution can be very much utilized, as we saw that from our Road to Glory race winner, William Hale, picking up the win. And keep an eye on drivers who make that strategy call late in the going.
Van Gisbergen did not run all the races in Season 3, but when he did, as Taylor said, he was very, very tough to beat. One of the best winning percentages you are going to find in Monday Night Racing, but he's got to do it from the very back of the field, as we are not terribly far away from the green flag. Kenneth Boydo, final thoughts from you before we go racing tonight in this big Green Egg 180 at Michigan.
But one thing we're going to notice here, James, throughout this car, this track that we saw last season, is a bit of pack racing through the beginning. Super late model race here showed us that the pack racing was well and alive, but through this 1987 car pack, you're going to see some pack racing, but it'll start to string out mostly when the tires start to wear. These cars are very difficult to drive. These cars take a large skill gap, actually a really small skill gap, but whatever. It is still very hard to drive nonetheless, and when you put a long run in there, it means that drivers are going to really have to work hard to keep those tires under them, keep the cars under them, and make sure that they can be as fast as possible through the stint. We're going to see some separation because of it.
We're also going to see a lot of drivers try and use the outside lane. We saw that in the Road to Glory race, which just wrapped up on the main Podium eSports Switch channel, Terry. A lot of people using momentum that they've rolled off of corner exit on that high line to keep people pinned down underneath them and maintain track position.
Well, to quote the great days of Thunder, stick it up there. We got 4 sticker tires on it. Grab your Rowdy energy. Go vote. Peach Mango, baby, all the way.
Man, I would have never guessed what your favorite was, Terry. Would have never called Peach Mango ever today. In fairness, our producer Ryan Bowers in the same boat, so we got two folks in the Peach Mango camp. But in either case, glad you're with us here on Podium eSports as we get set for race number 7 of Season 4 of Monday Night Racing. The Big Green Egg 180 live for the virtual Michigan International Speedway, featuring the 1987 Ford Thunderbird and Chevrolet Monte Carlo. Waiting for our first Big Green Egg green flag of the evening, which now unfurls from the hands of Barney the Flagman, and we are off and away with the Big Green Egg 180 at Michigan. So Bickford maintains the lead on the first lap, but you can already see that high line beginning to come in, and I imagine we're going to see a lot of drivers move up to the outside lane very quickly, especially if the pace that DJ Cummings is racing at this moment maintains throughout a green flag run. Already trying to work to the outside of last week's winner, David Schildenhouse, and little bit of help there from Anthony Alfredo, who's right in the mix as well, Kenneth.
And they're side by side, and they already catch up to Bickford as now Schildhouse will look to the inside. So again, as I mentioned, pack racing is going to be pivotal here from Michigan. And once you have the lead, it is not guaranteed whatsoever. Anthony Alfredo almost about made it 3 wide. Now here he comes for the lead. 3 wide back to turn 1. Alfredo making quick moves in the early portion of this race.
Big move there from Anthony Alfredo to go down to the bottom and get alongside James Bickford to try and take the lead of this race. The question, though, Terry Radford, the thing we'll have to watch for, especially if we get some green flag laps in, is how many times can you make moves like that on the bottom before your tires start to burn up? You'll get the track position like Alfredo did, but pull that move 5, 6, 7 times over the span of 20 laps, your tires will be hurting, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, these cars right here are a real handful to drive. You got to get up on the wheel. You got to be real aggressive with them. But like you said, we've watched the Retro 500 in these cars, and a lot of those drivers were slipping and sliding. The back end wants to kick out. They're very heavy, and they're heavy here. But you look right here with Brandon Brown. Look at him on the wheel. He's lightly going in. What a beautiful paint scheme, too, man. Kicking it back to old Rusty Wallace. But look at his wheel. A little bit of movement in it. He's holding it. And when he gets down the straightaway, he just wiggles because there's so much air going on. He's got air to his inside, air to the front, and he's just sitting there. He's having to kick back and forth, and then he just lightly plants it down into the corner.
And that's the way you have to treat these things, I think. Just be very careful with the throttle and be mindful of what sort of wear you are putting on the right rear tire in particular. These cars, especially with that solid rear axle that they have, drive off of the right rear much, much more so than the modern stock cars that we have available to us in iRacing. It's a little bit of a different characteristic compared to most of the oval cars that you see on the service, but it's something that the best 87 drivers will need to be wary of. As James Bickford get a good look at his setup from the Charlotte Phoenix setup. Signed that deal at the beginning of the season and now is officially racing for Charlotte Phoenix throughout the whole of Monday Night Racing. Has had some good runs, but good chance for him to get some sustained time near the lead, along with Garrett Smithley running for Rick Ware Racing eSports, the Nerd Tech Purple People Leader machine just behind Anthony Alfredo and David Schildhouse, who now has the lead by maybe a bumper length or less than that, as Alfredo goes to the inside for the race lead. Here's on board with Max Kennan as they go off into one.
Yeah, and that was a part of the second pack, at least where Max Kennan is on that restart. You saw the opening, at least 4 to 5 drivers kind of pull away, but now they're starting to accordion. Once the things start to get into a rhythm, drivers start to settle down, you'll see the draft start to pick more drivers into the mix. And Max Kennan, currently 16th, he's in the mid pack, but there's a lot of positions to be gained in this style of racing. Everybody's really close within each other, usually wrapped within about a second and a half, especially this early on. So Max Kennan still has a good amount of work to do, but that's to say that it's not impossible at this stage of the race. Here's Garrett Smithley, who currently sits third, and Garrett Smithley, by the way, James, was a heavy hitter the last time we used this combo at Michigan International Speedway, was so close to victory before getting turned on the last lap in the final corner, allowing Gabe Wood to sneak by and get the win, but somebody spins out near the rear of the field. Caution comes out, and speaking of which, it's the last time we went to this combo's winner, Gabe Wood, who goes around in turns 1 and 2, caution waves for the first time.
Was about to say, speaking of Gabe Wood, he's the one that goes around. Good look at the replay here. I think that was contact with Brad Perez there, at least coming down the front straightaway, but I'm not sure that's actually what spun him around. I think it might be indeed Josh Bilicki who turned him around. Bilicki, of course, winner with the MX-5 Cup cars at Daytona a few weeks ago. Impressive that Gabe Wood did not get hit by anyone spinning in the middle of the racetrack there, but one single car spin brings us under yellow flag for the first time, and these drivers will have the chance to regroup. But you would think, for the most part, Terry Radford, given how much you pay for tires, you're probably not going to see too many people jumping on pit road at this stage. Also of note in the in-game chat, Josh Bilicki saying that Gabe Wood came down. Whether or not race control will see it that way, we'll find out, but that's Bilicki's perspective.
Yeah, I don't see a whole lot of people doing any pit road stuff here. You're only 8 laps into this. Now, I've been watching what the top 3 have been doing here. You know, I've been paying attention to what Schildhouse is doing and Anthony Alfredo. They've been doing a lot of crossover moves. I'll see Alfredo get to the bottom. He'll slide up in front of the 20, and then they just keep swapping that spot out. But, man, I think I'm more happy than a fan out here. I get to see the 87 cars back on the track. To see the Thunderbird and these Monte Carlos out here on this racing surface. I went back and watched the 87 race that was on ESPN. what an incredible event. And this just puts on just a marquee spot.
Let's also not forget that Dale Jr. has confirmed via his Twitter that at some point in the near future, these two cars will be joined by one of Bobby Allison's Buick LeSabres from 1987. So we will have 3 cars, potentially, in the not-too-distant future, racing in 1987's NASCAR racing on iRacing, and it is a genuine treat. I think our love for it here at Podium eSports is pretty well documented with the Retro 500, but being a Winston-Salem native and growing up in Winston Cup country, I'd be lying if I didn't have a soft spot for these cars myself. As we remind you that tonight's broadcast of this race for Season 4 of Monday Night Racing is brought to you by our friends at Big Green Egg, the world's largest producer and international distributor of the highest quality ceramic Kamado-style charcoal grills. Big Green Egg has spent over 40 years mastering the best, most versatile, fuel-efficient, and easy-to-use Kamado-style grills across the globe. With an egg, there's no need for a separate grill, smoker, pizza oven, or rotisserie device, because it does all of this and more to perfection. And for more information, you can visit their website at biggreenegg.com. A look at the upcoming events in the world of Podium eSports and iRacing over the course of the next week. Tomorrow night, the penultimate race in the eNASCAR Contender iRacing Series for 2021. We potentially will be locking in some drivers to next season's eNASCAR Coca-Cola iRacing Series. We at Darlington Raceway tomorrow night. See that broadcast on iRacing's Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook channels tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Wednesday night, a doubleheader. You've got the Shenandoah Shine Racing Champions round number 3 from right here at Michigan. That broadcast starting at 9 on the Podium eSports Twitch channel. And then the ERA Gaming.GG Equity Prime Mortgage Omega Cup featuring the next gen automobiles at Auto Club Speedway. 10:15 p.m. Eastern Time broadcast start for that on iRacing's Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube channels this Wednesday night. And then Sunday night, it's the SimMax Cup Series powered by MPI. The playoffs continue from Texas Motor Speedway, and it is the first race of the round 12 and a full-length event. Broadcast starts at 9:15 p.m. Eastern on the Podium eSports Twitch channel. Cars are lined up with double file, getting set to get the restart on lap 11 of 90. Kenneth Puedo, anything you're noticing, anything that you learned over that first 10-lap stint that we might be able to apply in the second green laps or green flag segment?
I think just the understeer. I think over the course of the first 9 laps, obviously tire wear isn't big, but when you use that bottom, you said that it's going to be harder, it's going to wear your tires, and that's going to induce a lot of understeer rather. Drivers are going to push up. So in the transitions, it gets really tough. I think that's where you got to take the note of how you want to utilize that bottom lane and where you want to arc the car. Because if you arc it the wrong way, chances are you either push up into another car, the wall, or you hit a transition and your car just goes all out of whack. So take note about different lines here. Outside, middle is probably going to be where you want to be. Just keep an eye on that inside line if a driver wants to use it, how they do it, or else their cars could be in trouble.
And maybe more importantly, as we mentioned already in the broadcast a few times, how much they do it. You can use the inside line, but you will burn your tires off in the process. Big Green Egg, green flag back out. David Schildhaus, the control car, gets away. A good jump here by maybe about a car length and a half over Anthony Alfredo, who will slide right in front of DJ Cummings. And Cummings will race door-to-door with Garrett Smithley for the 3rd position as they go into turn 1.
And Schildhaus maintains clear. We'll see how Alfredo gets off of turn 2 because he usually is very aggressive throughout these short runs like we've seen already. Garrett Smithley gets the high side lined up. He'll pass DJ Cummings for that spot in P3. Gonna open the door here for Colin Fern of Brandon Bill Motorsports. Here he is just behind us. He gets slightly turned. Bit of attack. He's able to save it. What a save by the 86 of Fern. No caution waves. He's gonna lose a lot of track position, but what a job to wheel that 87 car.
That was beautiful work from Colin Fern, who just about was sideways and then some in the middle of turn 3. Contact here with DJ Cummings as he goes sideways, slideways, hangs on to it, maintains most of his track position. The problem is how much did that chew up the rear tires on that car, and will he pay for that at the back end of this run if we say green flag racing? Here's his onboard, a little bit further back in the field now, currently riding in the 8th position, trying to chase James Bickford, who you saw out of his front windshield. Meanwhile, here's the battle for the lead to Radford between David Schildhaus and Anthony Alfredo.
Yeah, these two have been going at it like cats and dogs. You see the 5, he takes the bottom. Schildhouse is going to stay up on the high side. And I don't know if many people have paid attention to David Schildhouse on his Twitch or on his Twitter, but he has been very vocal about how he feels like he's one of the most underrated drivers here in Monday Night Racing. But he's the only one with 2 wins, James. And he's out here, and he said, Terry, he told me flat out the other day, he said, Terry, I'm going to win this race. And I said, go get it. Go get some. If you think you're this confident to win this race, go get it. And man, he is driving hard, and he's putting it all on the line for him.
I would be hard pressed to try and underrate David Schildhouse at this point. You've got the stats in this season as the only 2-time winner. As there's contact, and there goes Garrett Smithley around with Raja Caruth. Yellow flag comes out. I think Caruth was trying to bump trap Smithley, and they just got a little bit too hooked up on quarter exit there, Kenneth.
Yeah, they got out of whack there, and indeed the 44 was given the push, but he was sliding up the track just a bit, so he got the 52's rear bumper at the wrong angle. You'll see here as they come through 3 and 4. 44 gets a bit of a move, nudges the 52, trying to give him the push off of the corner for the straightaway, but instead kind of hooks it off as he moves up the transitions here off of that 4th corner, gets into the 52. It looked like the 52 of Smithley almost about had it saved, but then gets a second tap, spins him around for good. Luckily, both of them don't have enough damage to take them out of this race or warrant a fast repair down pit road. But again, track position is going to be very crucial at this point to just keep yourself up front. With 2 of those drivers working their way up through the field, that's not a good sign at all. They're going to have to work their way behind the 8 ball from now on.
To be honest, and Terry, I don't know if you got a better look at it, but from what I can tell, Kenneth, I don't think either Raja or Garrett got any damage as a part of that wreck. So we know Raja's going to get the end-of-line penalty for causing the incident, but I don't think they got any damage.
No, James, I didn't see any damage happen there, but tempers are flaring here. The track's hot. The drivers are hot. These 87s ain't got no AC in them. I know we're purring up here in the broadcast booth. We got our little fans and stuff on us, but they ain't got none of that out there. So they're starting to get a little hot-tempered out here, and maybe they need a good peach mango Rowdy energy to cool them down.
We will see whether or not they have fun over the course of this next restart. Let's go back to our Fox Sports app in-race reporter Cole Irvin. And Cole, wild first few laps there. What's it been like here trying to charge up to the front?
Yeah, the race has been good. I mean, I've stayed out of a few wrecks. Everything's happened in front of me, so cars are pretty loose, though. I will say that. So just trying to maintain tires and take it easy is the biggest thing right now. So we just changed to 1 set of tires, so we're gonna try to strategize for later in the race. But we're on fresh 4 right now, so far so good.
How much has your prior experience with these 97 or 1987 stock cars helped you tonight, especially given that you didn't get the chance to practice too much in the actual circuit?
Right. Well, let's just say I do a lot of demolition derby in these cars with some friends of mine. So we try to make them as loose as possible. So like, there is a little bit of familiarity that we have in these cars. So I'm just trying to avoid the mines on the track. That's all we're just trying to avoid right now. Try to keep it clean as long as possible. Save that fast repair. So gonna have some fun.
Also, a little oddity in your setup that's a bit unique. Won't see a lot of people do it, but the Formula One style rim racing on an oval. Tell us a little bit about that and why you're going with that as opposed to maybe a more standard stock car circle.
Well, the thing is, the reason I have this wheel is because I don't have the, the changing tool to be able to set up my NASCAR wheel. So I have yet to get like the adjustment to like put it in there. So that's the reason why you're seeing the Formula One wheel. I do a lot of street circuit stuff. So I guess that's probably why I'm just most comfortable with it. But yeah, that's why you see it.
Hey, different strokes for different folks, to each their own. No problem with it. We'll be curious to see what you do, but you've had a good start to this race, Cole. Best of luck here over the course of the next few green flag runs, and we'll hopefully chat with you later.
Yeah, sounds good. Looking forward to it.
Cole Irvin, starting pitcher for the Oakland Athletics, as we now get set to rock and roll. And also, Kenneth put a good note here. That's a very similar setup to what Bobby Zielinski runs in the Coke Series, as I stop and I think about it.
Hey, I mean, why not? It's successful. I mean, we've seen Zelensky use it to destroy the field on road courses, and even on the ovals uses that Formula Rim. So, I mean, why not Cole Urban using that Formula Rim? I know it's for a different reason why he has it on the setup, but he's going to channel something. Why not channel an inner Bobby Zelensky, one of the best sim racers out there, to go for the win here in Michigan. He's up the move, though, in the early portion of this race, so that's a good sign already.
33rd to 24th, one of the hardest chargers in this race so far. So keep an eye out for Cole Urban. He might have something to say in the back half of this race. Didn't start near the front, but might finish near the front as we go back to racing with a big green egg, green flag. It's Schildhouse in control of this field again. Alfredo out clear in second. Cummings and Bickford now fighting for third and fourth.
Yeah, I'm watching them go down in here, and Schildhouse got a great run on that restart. I was very surprised to see that DJ Cummings didn't get the launch with them. You know, they're battling for the 1v1 here, and it's good to see them battling up front. We haven't seen a whole lot of the 1v1 battles end in two drivers fighting for the win or fighting for a top 5 position. So it's good that DJ and David are putting on a good show for the fans. And you mentioned we're about to rock and roll, and I would be remiss if I didn't say that we were near the Detroit Rock City, the Great Kiss song.
I had a feeling we were going to end up with that sort of reference, although you could also make some sort of motoring and Motown reference as well, which not terribly far away from Brandon Brown's hometown, Johnstown, West Virginia, not too far removed from the Wolverine State, as he churns out a top 10 run so far, running the Midnight at Michigan C. We tweeted about it earlier, and that's, as you said, Terry, instant iconic scheme that everybody recognizes. You could not mistake that for anybody else besides Rusty Wallace in the 90s.
No, you can't whatsoever. It's a gorgeous paint scheme, and I love the fact that DJ Cummings actually gets spun off of turn 4, caution in ways. I was just about to talk about the iconic schemes and how drivers have used their creativity for their own brands, drivers who throw it back to other drivers. DJ Cummings in a NASCAR-inspired throwback for eNASCAR gets turned off of turn 4, brings us under yellow once again here tonight for Michigan. Take a look here, James. This is going into 3 and 4. Similar spot to where Smithley and Carruth got in trouble, but it's a tap there from Colin Fern. Right about here, same place where Carruth hit the 52, sends the 10 around. The worst part of the track, though, up near the outside wall. And as Cummings goes spinning, look at Gabe Wood avoid that, barely swinging to the right side. But Cummings, I don't think he's got too much damage, or pretty much any at all. But again, track position just destroyed here. Take a look from Wood as he barely escapes this one.
I want to see this replay, and then I want to see Brad Perez's on board too, because Brad had to do an incredible job getting on the brakes to make sure he didn't run into DJ Cummings. But yeah, that's a nice little slicing and dicing from Gabe Wood to make sure he didn't end up in trouble. Now we'll get a look at what Brad Perez saw, and he was just sort of riding up top here, Terry, and did not have anywhere to go. Had to get on the brakes, mash it down, and hope he didn't run into anything.
Man, if Brad Perez ain't listening to Whitney Houston's I Want to Dance with Somebody, which was the number 4 song in 1987 right here, he sure did some dancing right there. That back end was just a slipping and slide when he got on them brakes. I don't know if he was shifting down or not, but gosh, Lee, for only 2 people to be in that one right there was pretty epic.
Let's get a word from our pit reporter, Taylor Burris, as we've got some cars down pit road. Taylor, what have you heard from folks in the early stages of this race?
Well, one of the things that we heard about, of course, was the difficulty of the aerodynamics with these cars. These cars have been very tough to make passes on. Talked to Will Rogers under that previous caution of the importance of making sure that you find that momentum to get around your competitors. Very tight in the cars right now, so it's going to be difficult to try to do that. We'll see how later in the going, though, if anybody will make that brave strategy call of a 2-tire stop under later in this race. Keep an eye on that as we see the rest of the field exiting off the pit road.
It's a gamble. It might work if you get a lot of yells at the end, but it's a gamble to not have fresh tires at the end of this race. We told you earlier on in the broadcast about the upcoming All-Star race, so here's a reminder of the flavors and hashtags. And remember, use these hashtags without the spaces. You need to be treated when you tweet them all as one word, but you can vote for any one of these combinations that you may see in the Season 4 Monday Night Racing All-Star Race presented by Rowdy Energy. If you like orange citrus, get the Indy cars at Talladega. Strawberry lemonade will get you the ARCA cars at the 2007 version of Daytona. Sour green apple would represent a new combination for this group. It'd be the sprint cars at Kokomo. Cotton candy will get you the Pro 2 off-road trucks at WeatherTech Raceway Laguna Seca. Lemon lime will get you the Miata at Darlington. Blue Raspberry, the Pro 2's at the newly reskinned and completely built from the ground up Watkins Glen. It is a, I would say peach of a racetrack, but I'm going to save the peach bit for the Peach Mango candidate, which would feature the Kias at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Cherry Limeade would be a repeat of the Season 3 All-Star race, the Radicals at Texas Motor Speedway. Grape, the, shall we say, grape drink inspired street stock at Auto Club, and then Chiseled Ice will get you the Jettas at Rockingham. So two very Ryan Vargas inspired combos at the end of those choices. And enter the Monday Night Racing Twitter for more information on how you can cash your vote for the Season 4 All-Star Race. Tonight's broadcast is brought to you by our friends at Battle Beaver, who have everything you need for your next custom controller, console, or PC skin. With options for PlayStation, Xbox, GameCube, and more, Battle Beaver has everything you need to make your system look exactly the way you want it. Head to BattleBeaverCustoms.com to pick up your next skin today. Good look at the Battle Beaver driver with a very retro-inspired scheme himself, Gary Sexton, who currently runs in the 14th position. Looks like he's relatively chill and just chatting it up with a few friends, trying to figure out some strategy. And Taylor Burst, before we go Green Flag Racing, you have more on the men out of Pennsylvania.
I certainly do. Gary Sexton saying the car has a great balance here as he's ready to work his way up through the field in 14th. But of course, he knows that this race requires one thing: patience and long run pace. Let's see if he can do that here.
Patience indeed. You can lose this race very easily, but winning it, not something you're going to be able to pull off in the early stages of our event. As we go back to Green Flag Racing, Big Green and Green Flag out once again, and Alfredo now clear of Schillhouse, but look at the move from Preston Pardis to get down to the bottom underneath his teammate from Space Station Gaming, Will Rogers. James Bickford in the mix, Adam Cabot there, Max Kinnon not too far behind, but Pardis now stuck on the inside, going to lose all that momentum as the drivers up top roll their corner exits and blow right past P-Money.
And now Rogers is going to look to the inside, so he'll go for the race lead underneath Anthony Alfredo. And with the cautions, it kind of brought the field together, took some cars out of it as they were put near the rear of the field, either through end-of-line penalties or through the incidents themselves, has brought some newcomers into it, Rogers included being one of them. Pardis, Kennan, Cabot, all of those drivers now in the mix for the running of the lead. Schildhouse look underneath 3 wide. He's going to have the advantage for a moment in turn 1. His car slides up for just a bit. It's now door-to-door even between Rogers and Alfredo.
You just lose so much momentum. David Schildhouse is completely shuffled out of that picture and out of the front row. He's going to duck in behind James Bickford and Preston Pardis, but you saw all the track position he lost. He entered the corner in second. He's going to come down the back straightaway and out of turn 4 in P6. That's how difficult it is to maintain track position. If you don't complete it, and I think, Terry, you almost have to look at it as a slide job. If you don't get up in front of somebody in the middle of the corner, if you enter from the very bottom, you are almost certainly going to lose track position by the time you get to corner exit.
Yeah, we just saw it right there with Will Rogers. He comes off the exit of the corner. The back end just moves so much, and especially like you talked about, when they dive down into the corner, and y'all can't see me when I'm talking with my hands, but they dive down into the corner, and then they slide back up, and if they don't make the center of the corner in the middle, as there is a wreck in the back, the 27's around.
You see just a faint hint of smoke on the corner of your screen, but it's an accident that's off of the racing surface as you get a good look at Michael Massey's machine, but he is down on the apron, so we'll say Green Flag Racing. And that means that we can return our attention to this battle up front where you've got a distinct pack here. And you look at this and it's everybody back to basically Brandon Brown, and then as you get a look at Max Kennan's on board, there's a gap of about maybe a second or so, half second, to Stephen Wilson, who's part of the second pack and leading maybe about 10 to 15 drivers or so who are trying to chase down this group that is where Max Kennan currently finds himself.
And that's sort of the typical nature of a lot of these types of races. I mean, Auto Club being a sister track of Michigan International Speedway, these tracks sort of behave the same in the way you have to drive it and, of course, how these races play out. And that also goes into the packs, the 2 different packs that we usually see between the first couple of drivers and the second group of drivers as they go casually 3 wide for the race lead with Preston Pardis on the top side and Bickford stuck in the middle. when you have this sort of effect where drivers get separated, then usually they start to accordion together. So it usually starts to split around between spreading the drivers apart, putting them back together. That's usually what you see at these kinds of tracks. And so for now, it seems to be a bit of separation between Brandon Brown and everybody else. But sooner than later, we're going to see those drivers start to peek in, get together within the draft, find the draft of the drivers in front, and then put their hat in the ring for this battle that you're seeing for the race lead.
Good ride on board with the Magic Man, Adam Cabot out of Glen Gardner, New Jersey, who raced his way into Season 3 by winning the championship of the eSports Racing League back in the spring of last year, or this year, or some point. Goodness gracious, all these years thrown together to me. But Cabot came in, won his way in, then won at Indianapolis in Season 3, and then was a playoff championship 4 driver a season ago. So not too bad, just couldn't beat out this man, Robbie Lyons out of Seminole, Florida, the defending champion of Monday Night Racing. As he works to the outside of Brandon Brown. This is all part of the back half of this group, which has grown just a little bit. Stephen Wilson and Raja Caruth now running near the front. Gabe Wood is the first one pacing that second pack from the 13th position.
Yeah, I've been watching that second pack, and there's the Rowdy man, Justin Malillo, from Long Island, New York, back here in 31st. He's just biding his time. I know he's getting all jacked up on Rowdy, and he's got every flavor back here from our All-Star vote. I don't know if he drank all those or if they're just out there. But yeah, look at the Traction GG paint on there. Nice little peek. Oh my goodness, he is slipping and sliding back yonder. I wish he had a hand cam. We could see what he's doing, because I bet he's just wiggling around. But goodness, these cars are really starting to make some fun out of it.
He's working all right. I think he'd also want me to remind you that, yes, unofficially it's Long Island, but technically it is Port Jefferson Station, New York, is where Justin Malillo calls home. As Alfredo continues to lead, there's an onboard with Raja Caruth, and a good look here at the Alpha Prime Racing at number 44 Chevrolet Monte Carlo, who sits in the ninth position. The Market Rebellion Crypto Chevy just trying to hang on to this group here, where you've got Kennan and Cabot and Brad Perez too. We've not said much about Brad Perez this evening, but the Mohawk Foundation Ford Thunderbird started in 19th up to 7th. He's one of the hardest chargers this evening, but the honor outright at this stage goes to Matt Stolnick, who started in 36 and is already up to 14th.
Yeah, a lot of big movers throughout this field. Of course, those cautions have helped. And there you see the 41, the eNASCAR Monte Carlo, up to what is now the top 15. And there he has a good look at what is now the main group just behind the 25 of Stefan Wilson, who's trying to make some paces throughout the field. But, I mean, that's sort of what happens at these pack-style races. You have a lot of draft. You have a lot of drivers around you. So let's say if you do lose track position, it's still going to be tough, but it's not as hard as, let's say, if you were at a 1.5-mile track or at a short track. There's so many differences between those styles of races and then these type of events here at these tracks, where you have everybody packed in together. You've got everybody in the draft, so that you've got some momentum, you've got some moves, you got some all of this, and then all of a sudden you just go inside, outside, 3 wide, 4 wide, you make those moves happen. And so for guys like Perez and for Stolnick, it's been a route to the front of the field, and it's been a good one so far. Pretty exciting to see those drivers move their way up and try to contend for the lead. Although, of course, this race is far from over. There's still a lot of time for them to lose them as well.
Another driver who's had a nice charge through the field after not setting a qualifying time. How about the 4-time winner from a season ago and the newly crowned 2021 Australian Supercars champion Shane Van Gisbergen, who's up into 19th and looking for another chance to win in a season that would play into his favor. You get the win in any one of these 7 races, you can race your way into the playoffs and have a shot to win the MNR title. So even though this is his first start of the season, he still, technically speaking, has a chance to get in, Terry.
Yeah, he does have a chance. And like you talked about last season, he was really good. So coming out here tonight, he's up to 19th. He did not put a qualifying lap down. He's 16 positions higher than where he was. And I don't know if anybody was paying attention there to the cloud cover. We got intermittent clouds going on, and we had it for a whole lap and a half there. The track started to cool down just a tad bit. Not a whole lot that's just going to fly off the radar, but it starts to build a little bit more confidence when they go into the corner. The car isn't going to want to step out as much. It'll give a little bit of shade, provide some of that help help and comfort as they come down the flag stand. Right there, the track's cool. So that's helping cool the tires down just a little bit. And as they go down into 1 and 2, when it's starting to shade, you're going to be a little bit more aggressive going in there because you're going to think you're going to have more grip. And that's when you could start progressing up some problems. But you see Shieldhouse there. You got Bigford, Alfredo. They're side by side. Watch for Shieldhouse to take it 3 wide.
Especially when you consider just how much these tires wear. I don't know if we've hit on it enough. I don't feel like we really have touched on just how much tire wear can mean to these drivers, to these cars, to these teams, Kenneth Cueto, because with these cars in particular, it is everything. And if you burn off the right rear early on at a green flag run, you will be in a world of hurt at the end of said run if you got no grip to drive the car off the corner with.
Yeah, you do not want to slide these cars as much as we saw Justin Melillo did not too long ago. You don't really want to upset these cars. As rough and as brash as they are, you don't really want to put them in that sort of monstrous state because then, like you said, you burn off the tires, the car gets all out of shape, and then you're just going to start to lose grip all throughout the event. And that may play in if we get green flag pit stops. Tires are going to be a premium with these cars, and you're going to see a substantial gap between drivers who are on old tires and drivers who are on the fresh rubber when they come down. If we end up in that circumstance, and even then some under caution if drivers try to split strategies, there's such a big difference between having the fresh rubber, the Goodyear Eagles underneath you, and then just having the ones that you've had since the start of this race. And I know that it's still early, so a lot of drivers have yet to come down for that service, but it's going to mean a lot, James, coming to the end, because if you got fresh tires, chances are you're going to be at the front competing for the win.
Good look here at Stefan Wilson, who was victorious when we took the Porsche 911 RSRs, the GTLMs, to Montreal in Season 3, working with the, shall we say, crunchy scheme, Terry Redford, perhaps? Or should I just see myself out the door on that one?
Oh, no. I was sitting there thinking the whole way. I was like, man, he got a bunch of good-looking schemes out here. Then I saw the old crunch. Man, I ain't had one of those in, it feels like forever. Babe, if you're still watching, I need a crunch bar. But the battle for this lead has been just perfect. I mean, it has been everything that you could ever have imagined. And for the people watching out there, if you are not entertained by 3 wide, 2 wide, door-to-door action around Michigan with these 87 cars, I don't know what could entertain you. I mean, we've seen Shieldhouse, Rogers, Bigford, Perez, Gabe Woods came back. He was spinning at one point through the center of the corner, and he almost dang near cleared the whole field out when he did it. And now he's drove his way back up to the top 7. And what an incredible recovery. And look at them still making moves. Gabe Woods loose on the bottom.
I was about to bring up Gabe Wood, and I'm glad that you did, Terry, because you make a good point. He has rallied and brought himself all the way back to the edge of the top 5, just trying to sneak in as they go down into turn 1. But he'll lay off the throttle just a bit on the bottom and give up some of the momentum to the drivers above him, Adam Cabot, Brad Perez and company. But a really solid recovery, and Kenneth, it also underscores his ability and talent within these machines as you look at Max Kennan racing out of Mooresville, North Carolina. But Gabe Wood was the winner here with this combo a season ago. I think tonight we're seeing why he is so successful, as there was contact there between Raja Peru and Brad Perez in the middle of 3 and 4.
Yeah, they almost got collected within each other. Perez is going to lose out on the battle there between himself and the 44. But, I mean, you talk about Gabe Wood, that win that came here from Michigan wasn't necessarily a fluke. He was in position to win the race. And, yes, they were wrecking to the start-finish line. So that did help Wood get to the checker flag a little bit easier in first. But he put himself in that place to get to the win and to have a shot nonetheless. So Gabe Wood does have experience. He does have a lot of that. So we'll keep an eye on him as we move through. Look at Brandon Brown here again. Fantastic paint scheme. Fantastic shirt here as well. I know Terry mentioned the Rusty Wallace colors. How about paid tribute in another way via the camera? Put your shirt on, Rusty Wallace, and put a little bit of that throwback nature in Stowe. It's good to see Brandon Brown in the throwback spirit for tonight's race.
Absolutely is with the Rusty Wallace shirt as he tries to work the inside of Matt Stolnick. This is for the 13th position on the racetrack if he can get it. As you get a good look at the battle for the lead once again, Anthony Alfredo and Will Rogers, who were so central to Season 2 of Monday Night Racing. If you recall, Alfredo and Rogers were part of the Championship 4, and Alfredo had an internet connection that pulled his entire rig offline middle of the race, and it in turn killed his opportunity to try and go after the Season 2 title, which was such a disappointment not only to him but I think all the Monday Night Racing fans out there, because he genuinely had pace to win in the trucks at Atlanta Motor Speedway where we were that evening. everything since has been a sort of redemption arc, if you will, to try and get back to the title that he thought he absolutely could have won in Season 2. Did not make the championship 4 a season ago, but wants to try and get back there, and this is the strongest he's looked pretty much all season up to this point.
Well, James Pike, I'm hearing over the radio from the drivers, there's some that are coming down, but I'm very surprised with all these amazing paint schemes out here that nobody paid tribute out here to the 1987 champion that year, Dale Earnhardt. I keep seeing Rusty schemes, and I'm seeing all these Days of Thunder schemes and whatnot, but no schemes to Dale Earnhardt. As the leader comes down pit road, there goes Mr. Bigford.
Will Rogers, James.
Oh, they're almost wrecking.
And people all over the place. Taylor Burris, let's head down to you.
James Bickford right now working his way, leading a field of cars down into pit road. A couple of other cars who are also going to be working their way into pit road include Stephen Wilson, along with multiple others, Will Rogers as well, as they'll make the adjustments on there. We watch as we see James Bickford in that number 29 enter into his first pit box right there. Beautiful stop as the field team will go around and work on it. Up onto the jacks they'll go. A couple of other cars, Gary Sexton as well on pit road, who will try to complete his stop. Watching Will Rogers, Ford Martin finishing off their stops. One thing also briefly to keep in mind with Anthony Alfredo, he actually is not in the top 20 in points. So with a win here tonight, that could help guarantee him a shot into the playoffs. So keep an eye on him of how aggressive he'll be as the rest of the field now enters onto pit road right now, as we see some of those front runners such as Alfredo, David Schildhouse, Robbie Lyons, and many more complete their pit stops.
Between the last 2 laps, that's pretty much the entirety of the front 10 cars that have been in that lead pack in this big Green Egg 180. As everybody comes down for service, this is going to be 4 tire stops across the board, and maybe the only green flag pit stop that we'll have all night long. Depending on how things pan out, we could get a late yellow flag, and these drivers may come down under yellow with maybe 10, 15 laps to go or so to use up that final set of tires. But again, there is value in saving tires if you can. Terry Redford, if you can hang on to a set for a 5-lap run or a green-white checker, it is gonna mean a lot if you can pull it off.
You can almost guarantee the win, and I'll throw that out there with anybody. If you manage to save a set of tires for a green-white checkered or a 5-lap sprint to the finish, I would throw your hat down any moment and say this is going to be the winner of this race. But I've been watching these pit stops here, James Pike, and we talked about how heavy these cars are. These were some of the biggest cars metal-wise that we put out there, and you talked about the rear bar that's in the rear. When the drivers come down on pit road, it's kind of like the law of inertia. When they go down and hit the brake, the front end is what's going to plant. So the back end wants to squirrel around a little bit because it's just putting so much load on it. And I've been watching a lot of people lock the tires up. And for any 2 tire stops out there that they maybe want to do, they're going to have to ease on in there. But this is one of the hardest pit roads to enter due to the speed that you carry onto it. So drivers are going to find it a little bit more challenging than others.
Just taking a look here at the stats, the driver with the oldest tires on the racetrack right now appears to be Jason Keffer. He rides in the 7th position. He's on 36th lap old tires. We saw the leaders come in with somewhere in the ballpark of about, 41, 42 laps on their tires. So you do the math, you figure that he'll probably be in 5 or 6 laps from now, as you get another good look at Gary Sexton unlapping himself from Garrett Smithley. But again, old tires versus new. That's the thing you're going to want to watch here. You see SVG, who's on old tires, versus Sexton, who's on brand new Goodyear Eagles. Watch him just drive right past these.
Yeah, he's immediately going to go for the lead. Gary Sexton, though, who went down pit road not too long ago, he's going to unlap himself as Smithley almost lost the car there off of turn 4. It's going to open the door up here for Roger Carruth to take it away as they go once again 3 wide for position here. 44 goes under for P2, but when you look at right now the drivers who are pitting, who are going down pit road for the fresh rubber because they hadn't pit all night long, they're now up against a plethora of drivers who went down pit road in the opening cautions of the race. Taylor mentioned it a little bit earlier tonight where some drivers used their tire sets because they felt like it was going to be the alternate strategy to potentially get them up front. And so now you have this big split between most of the field that's stayed out up until this point. This is their first pit stop of the night versus the drivers who have pit earlier and now look to play the long game, hopefully aiming to get a caution or to get some other opportunity to get their tires and be better than the ones that are on track with fresh rubber right now.
You can just about call it strategy A and strategy B, as we have now hit the halfway point of this Big Green Egg 180, and that gives us the opportunity to bring you tonight's iRacing Midway Race Break, which as always is brought to you by iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in Australian supercars, IndyCar, IMSA, NASCAR, the world of outlaws, and more. A reminder that the first 11 drivers all are on an alternate strategy as we see trouble a little bit further in the back of the field, and we will pause as Raja Kalu has pounded the wall over in turn 4. I almost think something might have broken on his rig because it looked like a pretty sudden turn to the right. You can see him slow up a little bit, but he tried to gather it, and then all of a sudden, tried to catch it and caught it too much and put himself right in the fence, Terry.
That just looks like a sign of overcorrecting right there. You see him. You see right here on board with Garrett Smithley as he comes down the back straightaway. You can kind of see this happen up here in the front. Starts to be loose as he comes back onto the thing. Little John Cena action. You can't see me. Boom. Snapped it right into the wall. And then Garrett Smithley had nothing to do there.
Right, yeah, I don't think he could have done much of anything there. Almost looks like, I couldn't tell if there was contact between Smithley and Caruth, but in either case, damage for him as well. So he'll likely be using his fast repair. Here's Ford Martin's on board, the driver for Crypto Autosport. This will all take place just ahead of him. You see the smoke there from Caruth at the top of the screen, and then it's just clamp it down and see just how much the track will self-clean and whether or not you're weaving and bobbing to the inside or the outside.
Yeah, a good avoidance there by the 07 of Ford Martin. Also good avoidance there by the 10 of DJ Cummings. I know he went spinning, but he avoided disaster and by not hitting those guys, and he was able to keep his car clean. Still part of that 1v1 battle that we're seeing so far. But, I mean, in the case of that spin, it's just a case of cold tires. Caruth has dealt with this before. Homestead last season just got around, and up underneath him, he's in the outside wall.
Meanwhile, Taylor Burris, all those drivers who had stayed out on the alternate strategy, what a break this was for them. They all get to come down pit road under yellow.
Big break indeed for those drivers who made that strategy call of coming down pit road, as we will see the rest of the field work their way down. Watching to see who will be that first one off of pit road as they race their way towards the start finish of pit exit. Looking at seeing if DJ Cummings will be able to have a shot. Here they come. Shane Van Gisbergen will win that race, followed by the 4 of Brett Baldeck. Here comes Colin Fern, who picked up a win earlier this season as he works his way to come in third off of pit road. Seth Egger and then Joshua Malicki round out your top 5.
A great break for all of them as they get a yellow at a very, very most opportune time. We're going to take a quick break here, but we'll go side by side so you don't miss any of the action of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Rowdy Energy live on Podium eSports. Our coverage of the Big Green Egg 180 continues after this.
We are an industrial flooring company specializing in custom floors and drains. We don't believe in the one-size-fits-all approach to flooring, and neither should you. When you choose Tufco, we consult with you about your needs, industry requirements, and factor in numerous variables. After assessing your facility, we engineer your floor and drains then install everything ourselves. That's the Tufco way.
Visit our website at tufcoflooring.com.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars, and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone, and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
There's a place where fire and flavor are celebrated, where grilling traditions and new techniques are perfected. Here in Big Green Egg Country, you can grill it, roast it, smoke it, or bake it. It's the most versatile grill you'll ever own. Simple delight, easy to use, comes with a free lifetime warranty. Have it delivered to your door by a certified dealer in your community and start enjoying the ultimate cooking experience. Shop online for home delivery at biggreenegg.com. That's biggreenegg.com.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. There's a reason that Maconi Setup Shop is trusted by more virtual and real-world tracks and companies than any other setup shop in iRacing. With partners such as Stafford Motor Speedway, the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, Five Flags Speedway, Speed 51, and more. When you want something done right, you go to the experts at Maconi Setup Shop.
With setups available for most series on both asphalt and dirt, built by a team of professional builders consisting of some of the top talents on the service, Maconi Setup Shop LLC has what you need to hit the track with confidence. Head over to MaconiSetupShop.com and learn why Maconi Setup Shop is the official setup shop of Richmond Raceway Esports and is partnered with some of the largest names in virtual and real racing.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Welcome back to Podium eSports coverage of the Big Green Egg 180, round number 7 in season number 4 of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Rowdy Energy. James Pike, Kenneth Whitter to Radford of the booth, Ryan Bauer producing all the pictures, and Taylor Burris down on pit road, who has a little bit more for us regarding Shane Van Gisbergen's tire strategy. Taylor.
Watching the things on his pit stops, he came in earlier with 25 lap old tires after staying out during that run, but decided to come down pit road this time by under this previous caution with a 4-tire pit stop. Really good strategy call to where it was able to help him get up front of the field and have a decent stop. Keep an eye on seeing how this will come into play later in this run, unlike someone maybe like Gary Sexton, who also had a very quick pit stop with 15.4. Possible 2-tire stop, as well as he's been out there for 11 laps.
So there's a little bit more of what Shane Van Gisbergen's up to. Meanwhile, if you're playing along and keeping track of our 1v1 battle, David Schildhouse currently rides in 16th, DJ Cummings in 6th. So a little bit of work for Schildhouse to do, but then again, the tire strategy has thrown this race for a loop a little bit because you really do have two distinct groups of drivers, and Anthony Alfredo is tops amongst the standard strategy people, but he's all the way back in 12th. That's the way the pit cycle shuffled everything as we get the big green egg, green flag once again, and it's Gary Sexton that will lead us off into turn 1.
We'll just see how long it lasts, though, because he has a distinct tire difference between himself and what is now second place Colin Fern, who's only got 4 laps on his Goodyear Eagles. Not too much momentum gain here off of turn 2 as the field slowly separates through. Here's a look at the Battle Beaver for Thunderbird and the onboard look here from Gary Sexton. He looks to his rearview mirror, sees the 86 start to approach, but so far, top 2 clear out of turn 2, turn 4 rather. Sexton in control for the moment.
Sexton hanging on here. Here comes Colin Fern, just trying to sit in the tire tracks, not really pushing the issue at this stage, but certainly is keeping an eye on your race leader as you get a New York, Pennsylvania battle, and then New Zealand behind them in Van Gisbergen. Fern's got the fresher tires, though, by 8 laps over Sexton. That also worth noting. And Garrett Smithley trying to help the Pennsylvania cause. The man out of Ligonier, not terribly far away from Pittsburgh, just sitting in the tire tracks. So Shane Van Gisbergen waiting to make his move a little bit later on in the race.
Yeah, he's looking to see where he can get some good paint. Well, you can head on down to DuPont and get some of that. That's what Shane's telling him. But you look at the Battle Beaver machine of Gary Sexton. He's got Colin Fern right there. And let's actually take a look here. You can see from the back of Gary Sexton's car, the in-camera work of what's going on there with Colin Fern. As we zoom on in there to that, you see him just jiggling around. He's going to go down to the bottom, and you see kind of a little bit of yaw on the back end of the car. You know, that's something that they played around with back in '87, where a lot of these great people like Cale Yarborough and a bunch of others were trying to think of ways to get these cars faster. And the more air you put back there, the faster you're going to go, the more drag or the more downforce you're going to get going down these straightaways, and especially down the long ones here at Michigan. And a guy like Max Kinnon right here, he's got some dirty air on him. So everything that he does around here is going to affect the car based off of how the cars in front of him is getting any kind of side force or any kind of air that's moving around as he gets side by side with the 10 of DJ Cummings.
The general idea with cars like these, and you saw it pretty much all the way to the development of the car tomorrow in 2007, is that if you can get these cars to crowd walk and basically go down every straight and go through every corner sideways, you're right, Terry. You increase the surface area that makes contact with the air on the race car. You increase the amount of downforce that you get because you get more air hitting the side of the car. It pushes the rear end down more, and you can travel through the corner a little bit faster. So it was not uncommon for about a 20-25 year stretch to see these cars try and be sideways, not only in the center of the corner and on corner exit, but also down the straightaway, so that you could just get that extra tenth, because you never know what is going to end up making the difference. And sometimes it was just that little bit that made the difference between victory lane or a runner-up finish. Good battle here a little bit further back. This is Anthony Alfredo. Remember, he's the first driver on the standard strategy of tires, so he's got a little bit older rubber than everybody else around him, but he certainly has plenty of pace to go with it as he clears Van Gisbergen, now trying to work underneath Josh Palicki to take away fourth.
Yeah, this tire strategy, and especially that pivotal caution, kind of turned things around. It's brought some new faces in, and I mentioned that a little bit earlier throughout some of the earlier cautions that we had here tonight in this Big Green Egg, a 180 from Michigan. That's brought in new faces like Justin Malillo. I know we talked about him, the Rowdy, all the way in the back. We saw him sipping a Rowdy energy earlier this season to kick off at the Daytona International Speedway, but a good run so far for the Traction.GG for Thunderbird, as he's one of the new faces to peek in based off of the strategy and based off of the yellow. So it has really broken up the field, and it's also broken up the pack based on which drivers want to be more conservative and which drivers want to be a little more aggressive. Right now, DJ Cummings is a bit aggressive as one car goes around near the entry or the exit of turn 2. The spinning car and Matt Stolnick. He's going to spin underneath the racing surface, James, so we will stay green. But Stolnick, not what he wanted to see there as he got tagged around.
Couldn't quite tell who got into him, but we'll find out the answer, and I suspect Adam Cabot may be the guilty party in all this as we look at how they came off of turn number 2, and they'll come off the corner, and all of a sudden they thought about it and then finally did make contact there at the very end of it. Terry Bradford and Stolnick goes spinning off the racing line, so race control does not throw the yellow flag.
Yeah, I kind of wish we could have backed that up just a little bit, because you see they were trying to side draft. Cabot tried to get right there to the quarter panel of that machine, but could not make it happen, and he got a little bit too close. You also have to realize that these front ends are just a little bit different than what they're used to running, and that's the challenge with Monday Night Racing. A lot of people, say a lot of things that, they race all these different cars, they don't get adjusted to one. Well, that's the point. The point is to challenge these drivers in every form of motorsports that we have around here. These cars, the MX-5s, the new cars, the Gen 6, the next gen, and that's what it does. So the front end of these have a little bit of kick on both sides. It's a little bit of a splitter that goes on around them. So it's going to be a different, you see kind of front end clinch, but when you get down to the front, it just bows out. So they've got to learn that there's not a lot of room to the quarter panels of these machines, but side drafted was very prominent. We saw Dale Earnhardt win a couple plate races in '87, and he side drafted a ton of it if you go back and watch.
DJ Cummings continuing to pace Max Kinnon. Also of note here, with regards to the 1v1 battle, Cummings is up to 5th, but David Schildhouse has gained 5 spots and is up to 10th. So that gap was 10 positions. When we went back to green flag racing, it's now 5. It's probably worth noting. Anthony Alfredo continues to make his charge toward the front. Now he's sitting behind Colin Fern, and after restarting just outside the top 10, he's already up to P3, working inside of 30 laps to go.
And this may get close here around the fuel window, I believe. It's around 45 laps. We saw some drivers, or maybe even a little more than 45 for drivers who wanted to sort of extend that gap. There were only a couple drivers to do it, but it may get close on the strategy, and that may open some things up while the pack is sort of separating. There could be some drivers that, again, like I said, just wanting to be conservative, and maybe drivers like Anthony Alfredo just want to push themselves up to the front of the field like he is right now and be aggressive, knowing that he could be good, or knowing his situation regarding the strategy, especially if we stay green. But what I'm noticing is that there hasn't been much of an accordion effect. I talked about it earlier that it was happening between many of the packs, whether we're side by side, 3-wide action throughout the front pack and the second pack. That's not happening anymore. So while you're seeing the drivers on this strategy, while you're seeing the drivers all single file, it's become a little harder to pass on the track, and that ultimately results in these packs not fighting with each other as much and not losing time to create that accordion effect. So while Sexton leads the field, I think he's pretty comfortable knowing that the drivers behind him are all single file and that they're probably not going to allow more faces to creep into the mix.
I think the other thing, to the point that you made, Kenneth, the other big difference between earlier on in this race and now, look at this lead pack. Everybody's strung out pretty much single file for the most part as you look at Gary Sexton's on board, looking off the rear deck lid of his machine. But remember earlier on, Terry, how they were 2x2x2 up in this front pack and everybody else is able to gain? They have gone straight up into single file mode at this stage, and that will help to keep this field strung out.
Well, and I think that's a big key here. We don't want a lot of people they don't want to wreck out of this race. That's the one thing that a lot of these drivers over the radio are saying. Look, we could be smart here. Look at this beautiful car here from Shane Gisberg, and what a beautiful ride, and what a rebound. Up to 10th. He had an opposite strategy than everybody else, but you talk about the single file racing, James. Why would you want to go 2 and 3 wide right here when you know that it creates problems? They have 27 laps to go. A lot of them could potentially be short on fuel, like Kenneth alluded to. So use the draft a little bit here to make Gary Sexton burn his stuff up. Make him use all the fuel that he wants to use, because he most definitely is going to have to come down pit road with all the air on his front end. The rest of them's just back there quarter throttling, half throttling it, just trying to get something to maybe have an extra lap of fuel to make it to the end, or for a green-white checker that we could potentially have this evening.
That's a very good consideration, I think, and I don't know if Taylor Burris might be able to get a better answer on this for us, but I would think the people that came down under the most recent yellow are going to be close to making it under the scheduled distance. I have a hard time seeing the drivers that came down under green making it, though. They, I think, are going to need another yellow in some way, shape, or form in order to have a shot at this, if this pans out as we suspect. As we get another look at DJ Cummings, currently now in the P5 spot, trying to work now to the inside of Garrett Smithling and follow suit and go after Colin Fern for the third position.
Yeah, and this is going to be tough a little bit for these drivers right here. As I mentioned, it's going to get tougher to pass, especially on the bottom side, and as tires wear out, the cars will understeer a bit. But, I mean, look at the comeback so far between these drivers right here as Cummings goes for the inside of Colin Fern. Cummings spun a little bit earlier on in tonight's race, had some significant damage. Earlier on, used a faster pair. Garrett Smithley, who got into that recent incident there, along with Roger Carruth, he used the faster pair on his way, and now they're both back up to the front. So that yellow helped them significantly, but their pace, even with the crashes, even with some of sort of the setbacks tonight, have really not phased them at all in terms of their performance on track, because now they're starting to really push in the pace here on this main group as the 52 of Balicki got into the 21 of Kennan. Sort of similar incidents to what we've seen tonight. Luckily, Kennan does not get turned around to the inside wall. Balicki this time is going to go for the inside in the corner, make that position worthy of making in turn 3. But as I was talking about with Smithley and the likes of DJ Cummings, they're doing good right now despite some of the trouble they've had early on.
That to me looked like a chain reaction where I don't think Balicki could have done anything, because I couldn't tell who it was, but somebody stacked up in front of Max Kennan, Terry Radford, and Kennan got on the brakes or got off the gas, did a little bit just to make sure he didn't get turned, and Balicki couldn't see it, couldn't react in time, and Kennan almost went around and caused the caution that I think a lot of people in this field might not necessarily mind seeing.
Well, I mean, and that's another problem with pack racing and single file. You see right here with the driver right behind Shieldhouse with Stephen Wilson, he gets up to the back bumper of Balicki, and he has to check up. He has to back out of the gas. He doesn't want to wreck him. You cannot push into the corners here at Michigan in these cars. You are going to get them loose, and they're going to wreck. You see Brad Perez make a move up here. He's going to get to the back bumper of David Shieldhouse, and you can tandem down the front and back straightaway, but you cannot push them deep into the corner because it'll upset the back end of the car. You don't want the tires to be lifted up because then you ain't going to have no turn. A lot of the throttle and off throttle time, it plays dividends in how you're going to do it. But the breakaway for the top two leaders, you see Gary Sexton and Anthony Alfredo. Everybody else behind them has pulled away about 0.6 of a second. And look at that Battle Beaver. Look at that beard right there. He's all focused with his tongue out. Look at him, man. He's really in this.
Well, he needs to be focused because Alfredo's been the only one who's really been able to pick off these drivers one by one and charge back to the front. It's been a very impressive drive for the Connecticut native, but he's only got one more spot to try and wrap this up, at least so far as the track position is concerned. But then, once you get there, you're going to have to hold the lead for 20 laps if you are Anthony Alfredo.
And Anthony Alfredo, I think he's made his agenda known. He wants to be aggressive, go up to the front. Same deal with David Shieldhouse as he brought on board with Garrett Smithley. Shieldhouse, like Alfredo, wants to go up to the front, be very aggressive here, especially while we come to the final 20 laps of this Big Green Egg 180 here from Michigan. So they've made their agendas very clear. For the other drivers, I think they're waiting. I think they're biding their time. Want to save a little bit before you get to the final laps of this race, get to the end, and then be aggressive. But these two really putting the pressure, and Sexton, I can tell he's feeling it from the race lead.
28 laps to go, presented by Tufco Flooring in this Big Green Egg 180, and Anthony Alfredo is beginning to ramp up the pressure on Gary Sexton. They're pretty much even on pace now. They're also even on tires, just about too. Alfredo's only got one lap fresher tires, but it says a lot, I think, that these two are still a solid 10th faster than just about everybody else in the top 5.
Yeah, I'm sitting here watching the lap times as well, and I'm very surprised with the lap times not falling off. A lot of their best times were 41s, very close to 41 flats, and they've only ran about a second difference between what the fastest one was and how far they are into this run. So to see a lot of these drivers putting the gap on Garrett Smithley and DJ Cummings, they have a second. And there's a car spinning. I hear it over the radio on who it is.
Henry, I think, is the one in the 77. Yes, but again, off the racing surface. So he stays on the apron. We stay green flag racing. And I wonder now, given that he's just sort of been sitting behind Anthony Alfredo and Kenneth Lano, do you think that Anthony Alfredo might be waiting for his moment to go after Gary Sexton and try and get this race lead? He might not be forcing the pass now.
I think that's true. I think that's exactly what he's doing. And I mean, that goes back to the entire motive of super speedway racing. You're not guaranteed the race lead unless everybody wrecks and you're all by yourself. That's when you're guaranteed position. But when you're with other cars, even if it's just one other car here, in the case of Sexton and Alfredo, you're not guaranteed to be in the front for very long, especially when you have the potentiality for other drivers to also make moves. So Alfredo doesn't want to make the move because he knows that it can be taken away in the corner, but also coupling with the fact that there's a pack developing with Smithley and Kennan and everybody third on back. So if he wants to make a move now, if he goes side by side with Sexton, they're losing time, which is going to lose time to these guys. And then that just blows the door wide open, and Alfredo will have no chance of winning this race. So Alfredo is waiting. He's being a little bit patient, wants to be smart here up at the front instead of forcing the issue and then giving Smithley, Cummings, and everybody behind a freebie here.
They just about wrecked. I saw the same thing you did, Terry Ranford. That's why you chirped up, but that was David Shieldhouse who was nearly sideways for a moment as they all got scattered. Here's a look at Stephen Wilson, who sees Brad Perez getting blocked all the way down to the apron by Colin Fern as they make contact. There goes Fern around.
Gonna do it again.
How? I don't know how Colin Fern saved it for the second time tonight, but he did just that and managed to keep it all in one piece as Stephen Wilson's going to bring it down pit road, but that was nearly a major moment as Brad Perez jumps up into 7th and Colin Fern is left to try and save his car from spinning out yet again.
Oh my goodness, man! I about got on my knees and started praying and throwing some Hail Marys out there on that one. But did you see the 60 Brad Perez gets into the side of Colin Fern, and look at the wheel man. He's shaking that thing in the crunch car. Stephen Wilson almost got crunched into oblivion there. Luckily, he jumped on pit road, but man, that was crazy. About ripped my pants in the process, skipping on back. But holy crap, what great racing we've seen here. You got the 2 for the lead racing hard. 15 laps to go. Gary Sexton, man, he's focused. He's talking, doing what he's doing. Didn't even know he's on camera. What's up, Gary? You're talking to yourself? That's cool. I wonder what Alfredo's thinking. He's got a 2-second lead on third place Max Kennan. They've stepped away from him. You know, what are they going to do here? Are they working together? Like, what are they going to do? They're going to catch up to the back bumper of Stephen Wilson here in just a tad bit. Like, what are they doing?
A reminder that tonight's broadcast of Monday Night Racing is brought to you by our friends at BOOSTED.BIZ. Boosted builds a custom platform for your brand to sell your products, and they take care of everything in the back end, so pay nothing and let them handle the rest. To get started with your online store, visit Boosted.biz. Today as Anthony Alfredo spins on the entrance of pit road. I don't know whether or not he got damaged, but he still is the faster pair to use if he wants it, but he's going to lose time to Gary Sexton. Taylor Burris, how about that to start off a round of green flag pit stops?
Definitely indeed, as unfortunately for Anthony Alfredo has some severe damage to the nose as well as the tail end of that white-tailed Ford Thunderbird as he has to slowly work his way down towards pit road. Tough break for him. Gary Sexton, on the meantime, is going to work his way into his pit box, try to get things ready to go as he goes up onto the jacks, working his way around the car as he is about to be released. Meanwhile, up towards the front of the field right now, we see Adam Cabot just exiting off pit road along with Dylan Welch. Here comes Anthony Alfredo. He will beat Gary Sexton off of pit road as he is still on pit road right now. Don't know what the situation is. We'll find out more.
So Gary Sexton still on pit road, not totally certain what's going on with his machine, but he's stuck. I almost wonder maybe if he got a speeding penalty, which would be a surprise if Anthony Alfredo didn't get anything. But that look right there suggests that he is a very guilty man and definitely got caught by the speeding police. So that will likely knock him out of contention unless we get a yellow flag. As DJ Cummings now is your race leader, but a reminder that these drivers are anywhere between 30 to 39 laps on tires, and it's a bit of a mix for everybody, so we'll try and track it as best we can as we approach 10 laps to go. Cummings on 30 lap old tires, Perez in second on 37, Bickford in third on 38, and Fern and Partis in the same boat as Cummings on 29 and 30 lap old tires respectively. So Perez and Bickford a little bit out to dry on this run. It's Cummings and Fern and Partis that might just be all right unless we get a yellow.
And there goes Perez for the race lead, but Cummings is going to go right to the inside. But I mean, you say it right there. Cummings, Fern, a couple others who are now approaching lap 31 on their stint. They may be good because I've seen drivers stretch it to about 45 or more. So if they can keep themselves on track and, of course, not get a yellow and not get anything to bar their sort of run right here, then they may be in the jackpot even on some of the older tires in the field. There are drivers right here in this mix that, yes, are fighting Cummings for the race lead, but most likely they cannot make it all the way to the end. So they're going to have to pit at least one more time before this race is all said and done. Cummings, I believe, he may look to be conservative, trying to save a little bit here while they go by. He is right in the money, and with the 1v1 race right now against David Schildhaus in his favor, coming to 10 laps to go, this may be the right place for that eNASCAR machine.
Here come Brad Perez and Robbie Lyons down pit road. David Schildhaus has made his final stop as Lyons spins at the entrance and is going to have to turn it all the way around. No yellow flag yet, but he should, I think, eventually make it and get back going and will. So he'll come down for service, but we'll get a good loop here. And this is after the lap prior. We didn't get a chance to see it, but there was a nice little synchronized spin with Colin Fern and Preston Partis, the swimming folks here and fans of Olympic synchronized swimming on Monday Night Racing would have appreciated their entry on the pit road. Here's a look at Lyons locking it up on the brakes. Not the first time we've seen that. So he goes sideways. He'll lose track position, and this now becomes a game of whether or not you can save what you need to if you're DJ Cummings. Also of note, look who's right behind him trying to get back on the lead lap. It's David Schildhaus.
Yeah, fresh tires is going to It's going to do it. Yeah, DJ Cummings, you're right. He's clutching here. I mean, this is smart. This is actually brilliant in these cars because you see him wiggling the car around just a little bit. He's getting every little inch out of it. We go on board with DJ Cummings here, our Westfield, New Jersey native. He goes down the back straightaway, and he's going to get as much as he can. He's clutching it here. He starts to clutch just about a quarter way through the back straightaway. He goes into the corner, and he's going to take the lowest silhouette. We watched Dale Jr., Brian Vickers, Mark Martin, Carl Edwards run it. Somebody missed pit road right there, but we've watched them win here on fuel mileage. It's always been a great way to do it. This has been notoriously one of the most fuel-saving races we would see. But for Cummins, Gisberg, Kennan, if they can stay out here and hold this track position for DJ Cummings, he's going to win the 1v1 battle. I mean, he's going to win some money. Dollar bills, y'all. Get up there and win this race.
Well, more importantly, he'd get a win that would put him into the Season 4 Monday Night Racing playoffs. That's the big prize in the line for DJ Cummings. But to the point that Terry made, Kenneth Plato, a fuel mileage race at Michigan. Stop me if you've heard that one before, as DJ Cummings is all over the place on corner exits, so he's certainly not driving for pace. The other question now, I think, has to be whether or not he can hang on compared to the man right behind him, who, oh, by the way, is searching for his 5th win in Monday Night Racing and searching for a chance to kick off his Season 4 campaign with a victory right out of the gate. Shane Van Gisbergen has shaved a full half a second off within the last lap.
And that tells DJ Cummings one thing and one thing only. If he can't hold it, someone else is going to take it. And with the way Cummings is handling his car right now, with how loose that Ford Thunderbird is here, he wobbles out of turn 4. That just continues to bring in SVG to try and run with this win, as these two, coming at 6 laps to go, may be the last two standing when it comes down for the drivers for the win. But James, I saw a little bit of a jab there. Jimmy Johnson had a moment when he ran out of fuel here at this very track not that long ago. So I felt the heartbreak of fuel strategy here at Michigan as a racing fan. Watching it here from the booth, though, fuel strategy may heartbreak somebody, but it may be the jackpot for the other.
It's another half a second that Van Gisbergen has taken out of the lead of DJ Cummings, whose car just does not look near as stable in the center of the corner as Van Gisbergen's machine does. Look at the Red Bull Ampol Racing driver out of Australia, 2-time champion now, working his way towards the bottom. Cummings will make the move to block, but here comes Shane Van Gisbergen out of Auckland, New Zealand for the race lead with 5 laps to go in the Big Green Egg 180. Terry Radford.
Oh, the leader!
He's going to loop it and then hit the fence and keep it straight. So I think we're going to stay under the green ever so slightly as Cummings lost it and clearly has no tires left. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes down pit road now. But Shane Van Gisbergen now to the race lead with 4 laps to go when he crosses the stripe.
And I can tell you right now, oh, I'm sorry, Kenneth. Oh, my goodness. If Shane Van Gisbergen wins this race, I promise you he's going to paint this town rainbow. But look at Malillo. Look at Caruth. They're all right there in contention. They're starting to catch DJ Cummings because of that big slide. And he got a ton of damage. He has kicked in the entire crush panel on the back bumper of that machine. And Malillo's saving. He's clutching it as well. Look at him diving it in the corner.
Smart racing for Justin Malillo. He knows what he needs to do. He'll be the first to say he might not be the fastest driver, but he's certainly one of the smartest out there. So this is Malillo taking advantage of the strategy break that these drivers got. Remember the yellow in the middle of the race where everybody came down pit road in this group? You look at so many of the drivers in the top 10, it's all drivers who were able to come down after the leaders had pitted under green flag racing. That's what set this up. And now they are ready to pick up all of the fruits of their labor and then some, and Shane Van Gisbergen may just walk out of here with his 5th career victory in Monday Night Racing if he can hang on for another 3, maybe call it, 2 2/3 laps.
And we have never seen SVG, James, get a win in this fashion. We've seen him be aggressive. We've seen him make complete comebacks, complete charges to the front, but we've never seen him in this point in position. We've never seen him save fuel. We've never seen him in a compromising spot like this here for Michigan to try and go away for a win. He'll come across turn 4 and the start-finish line for 2 laps to go in the Big Green Egg 180. Cummings has hit pit road. His tires are absolutely shot, but for SVG, just only needs a couple of miles to hang on.
And that also is likely going to give the 1v1 victory to David Schildhaus, because Cummings has now fallen to 23rd in the standings. Schildhaus, even though he pitted earlier, up to 16th. So David Schildhaus likely the winner there, but Terry Bradford a lap and a half for Shane Van Gisbergen, and he stretched his lead out. He's clear by almost 11 seconds on Justin Malillo.
Mr. Strategy, big brain in it here this afternoon, and he just came off of a championship, and why not? Why not show up to Monday Night Racing and put a bold strategy out there, white flags in the air, sponsored by Maconi Setup Shop.
What a run for Shane Van Gisbergen, who comes in cold, having not run any of the races in Season 4 to start. He was busy chasing down the Supercars title, but all his focus on making sure that he had a good run at Bathurst. He was solid on the mountain. Now that he's free and clear of all commitments, he is a half lap away from picking up his first win in Season 4 of Monday Night Racing and his 5th career win in this series, which would move him up the all-time win leaderboard as well, would put him in a tie for second with Parker Kligerman as he comes out of turn number 4 out of Auckland, New Zealand. It's Shane Van Gisbergen who comes across the stripe to win the Big Green Egg 180 at iRacing's virtual Michigan International Speedway. The pit strategy, the yellow flag timing, and the fuel strategy pay off handsomely, Kenneth Bueno.
Unbelievable job by SVG, and we kind of questioned it at the beginning, James, when we had those opening yellows. We questioned whether those drivers who went down for their first set of tires were either going to make it or we're going to have a shot to win this whole thing. And as it results in fuel strategy to the end, Shane Van Gisbergen grabs the win, his first of Season 4. What a job. And in a throwback paint scheme, Jeff Gordon colors to victory lane tonight.
Big win for Shane Van Gisbergen. Also, we haven't had the chance to do this yet, so we're going to make sure that we give away Rowdy Energy. 12-pack going to Chrissy Scott, who works at the Humane Society and is the oldest employee there. She needs all the energy she can get, so she starts work at 4 a.m. and it's a 60-year-old versus 20-year-old kids. Of course, you're going to need the Rowdy Energy to get you back into contention there. So, Terry Radford, how about that? Are you just going to send her a full, 12-pack of peach mangoes if it were you, or is she going to get the full variety pack? Gotta at least try everything once, right?
Well, I mean, 60 years old working at the Humane Society. Good on you. Congratulations on your win out there. And if I was you, if you're watching this one right here, my suggestion, get you, just grab that peach mango, put it in the freezer for about 30 minutes, let it get to peak optimal temperature, pour it out, and man, it's going to be wonderful going down there. And then you go in there and get to play with dogs all day long. But James Pike, what a heck of a race, and holy crap, this was fun.
Would that be peak temperature or peach temperature?
Peach temperature. Peach temperature.
I wanted to make sure and double check as we remind you that Van Gisbergen brings you tonight's winning moment, which is brought to you by Martin Sports. Founded by Scott Martin nearly 10 years ago in the frozen region of Michigan's Upper Peninsula, Martin Sports strives for the best custom apparel for your needs. Whether or not you need shirts for your office, jerseys for a local sports team, or specially designed apparel for your sim racing group, Martin Sports has you covered. Along with shirts and other teamwear, they offer gloves that are specifically crafted for sim racing that are lightweight, breathable, and complete with padded leather palms. You can use the code PODIUM to receive 25% off of any sim racing glove at martinsports906.com. And you can also find them on their Facebook page at facebook.com/martinsports. We will take a quick break and then be back with the post-race show for the Big Green Egg 180 as coverage of Monday Night Racing's Season 4 Pro Series presented by Rowdy Energy continues on Podium eSports.
Howdy, I'm Ashley, and this is my partner Frankie. There's no better time than right now to purchase a home or refinance your current mortgage. My company, Wyndham Capital, has amazing rates and a seamless process to get your loan across the finish line. Give me a shout for all of your mortgage needs.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. There's a reason that Maconi Setup Shop is trusted by more virtual and real-world tracks and companies than any other setup shop in iRacing. With partners such as Stafford Motor Speedway, the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway, Five Flag Speedway, Speed 51, and more. When you want something done right, you go to the experts at Maconi Setup Shop.
With setups available for most series on both asphalt and dirt, built by a team of professional builders consisting of some of the top talents on the service, Maconi Setup Shop LLC has what you need to hit the track with confidence. Head over to MaconiSetupShop.com and learn why Maconi Setup Shop is the official setup shop of Richmond Raceway Esports and is partnered with some of the largest names in virtual and real racing.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Welcome back to Podium eSports coverage of the Big Green Egg 180, race number 7 and season number 4 for the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Rowdy Energy. Here's a look at your full field rundown to tell you where your favorite driver finished. Shane Van Gisbergen, winner for the first time in this season on his first start in season 4 ahead of Rasha Caruth and Justin Melillo. You're going to hear from all 3 of those drivers momentarily. Jason Keffer with a strong run, his best run of the season, P4. Garrett Smithley rounds out the top 5. Adam Cabot and Brad Perez with top 10s. They finish 6th and 7th. Big recovery run from Stephen Wilson, who comes home in the 8th spot after putting late. James Bickford started on pole, and he'll finish in the 9th spot. And Anthony Alfredo rallied, even with the pit strategy going against him, to finish 10th. Kenneth?
Colin Fern in the 86, the leading team standings going into tonight. He finishes in this race in 11th. Josh Balicki and his machine comes across the finish line in 12th. David Schildhouse, after DJ Cummings spun a couple of times, went down pit road near the end of the race. He beats him for the 1v1 challenge. He ends up 13th. After tonight's event, Gabe Wood, the former winner last time we took this combo to this very track, he sits 14th at the end of tonight's race. The 21 of Max Kennan arrives in the top 15. Michael Massey rebounds from an earlier spin to come home in P16, 1 lap down. Brian Boris Cook will finish in 17th. 18th will belong to Crypto Autosports' Ford Martin. Defending champion Robbie Lyons puts the 19 car in P19, also 1 lap down. And Matt Stolnick, also for Crypto Autosport, completes the top 20.
You look back down with Brandon Brown in 21st. Then you got DJ Cummins, heartbreak. He was the leader. He spun out. He got the back end all tore up. And you got Devin Henry down there in 23rd. Case Collin back in 24th. Ron Capps in 25th. Cole Irvin, our in-race reporter, brought to you by Fox Sports app, down there in 26th. Seth Eggert in 27th. The Battle Beaver driver, Gary Sexton, rounds out in the 28th position. And then you got Garrett Miller down there in 29th. Dylan Welch rounds out your top 30.
Ethan Ellis was 31st this evening. 32nd was Brett Baldack. Will Rogers brought his Space Station Gaming machine home in 33rd, just ahead of his teammate Preston Partis, who was 34th. Stephen Font and Chris Wilder completed our 36-car field in tonight's Big Green Egg 180. As we now turn our attention to, I would say Monday night's race winner, but if we're going to be accurate about it, it's more Tuesday morning's race winner, given that he's competing from the complete opposite side of the planet that most of the drivers in this league are located. But it won't matter, because Shane Van Gisbergen is a winner in Monday Night Racing once again. And Shane, I guess the simple answer here is you really love a well-timed caution now, don't you?
Hey, morning, guys. Yeah, that was pretty cool. Cool race. Had to stretch it a bit on fuel, but yeah, good to come and race with these guys again. It's always a fun league. I've been away for a couple of months with my real racing, so yeah, it's cool to come have a skid.
We are most certainly excited and proud to have the now two-time Supercars champion in with us at Monday Night Racing now that you are free and clear of your Bathurst-related duties. But was that the game plan for you to start knowing that you didn't have the track position? Were you looking, especially as this race went green, to try and find a strategy angle in this race as opposed to trying to run your way up to the front and race everybody up there?
No, I was in a pretty good spot at the last yellow, and then I think I was second. But then I saw it was only needed 3 liters to make it. So 3 liters is pretty easy to save on a long run. So I just cruised from the start, and then I had a bit extra. I was saving a bit extra in case the yellow came out, so I had enough fuel for the green white things that you guys do. But yeah, and then the last couple of laps I could go flat out, which was cool.
And how tricky was it to maintain the rotation of the vehicle through the center of the corner? We noticed it in the last 10 laps that poor DJ Cummings was all over the place, and you were much, much smoother. How hard is that to set your car up for and maintain, especially at the end of a green flag run when the tires on these cars in particular are so worn out?
I don't know any different, man. I'm not real good at this 2-corner stuff normally, so I was struggling a little bit, but I sort of got it figured out. After practice and in the race, I got better and better, and actually I think my tyre life was quite good as well. So I'm not sure why that is or how it works. I just drive around, but yeah, it was a lot of fun. Everyone's pretty competitive up the front in this series, so always cool to get a win over these guys.
I guess the next thing we're going to need is for you to get to race control and start making the argument that you should be let into the playoffs based off of percentage of race wins compared to relative starts, because you don't have the number of races that everybody else does. But it seems like every time you show up in here, you're more of a threat to win than most.
Yeah. I don't know how the playoff stuff works, but last season I think I was in and I couldn't make it. I had to be away, so hopefully I can get in. I can do all the rest of the races. I'll be at my house, so. Yeah, hopefully he can keep racing every week.
Should be fun to see him try and go after a few more wins in Monday Night Racing. Shane, from all of us at Podium eSports at Monday Night Racing, an official and proper congratulations on your second Supercars championship. Congratulations on your victory tonight, the Big Green Egg 180. Thanks for chatting with us. We look forward to seeing you next week from Chicagoland.
Hey, thanks a lot, guys, and thanks for having me again. Hopefully see you next week.
That's Shane Van Gisbergen, the New Zealander, brings it home. And if you've not had the chance to watch him wheel an Australian supercar, do yourself the favor and set that up and take some time to go find a video on YouTube, because the man has a lot of skill. It's a name that more folks in America should know. And we've seen him run a few IMSA events as well, some of the Michelin Endurance Cup events, the Rolex 24 he's also been a part of. So you might get the chance to see Shane race in person if you're paying attention over the next few months. But for now, we'll move to a driver who we know we're going to see a lot in person of next year. Going to be running for Alpha Prime Racing in 2022 in the NASCAR Xfinity Series out of Washington, D.C. Raja Karuth is runner-up tonight, and he is with Kenneth Bueno.
Here with Raja Karuth, who finishes second tonight in the Big Green Egg 180 from the Virtual Michigan International Speedway. Raja, I know a lot went on in tonight's race. Kind of felt like a roller coaster, but came down to the end under fuel strategy, which I don't think many people expected. How close were you theoretically on fuel? Because it looked like some drivers were pretty much on that bar to get it or to not get it to the line. How close were you on fuel in your end?
Yeah, Kenneth. It was a pretty crazy race. I didn't do a good job, especially early on, getting into Garrett, and then that strategy kind of about halfway that would have worked out for us, but I literally blew the right rear of the lap before I was going to come to pit, so that wasn't a good look as well. So. To just get solid points, it was awesome. It's something I think we needed, especially having, getting wrecked from the lead last week multiple times and being up front, especially at these oval tracks, and then not having a workout for us. So thank you to Marco Rebellion Crypto for supporting me in this series. Jordan Haynes helped me a lot, spotting for me tonight, coaching, and obviously figuring out the fuel strategy and making sure that I was saving, even though I didn't want to. I'm excited for next week. I think we got some good points tonight, and can't wait for the playoffs to get started, because I know a couple of those racetracks will be tough to beat.
And it looked like even tonight after last week and even going into the playoffs, looks like the word is rebound for you. You're beneath the top 10 in points going into tonight. You had, of course, the unfortunate crashes that took you out of the race at Phoenix when it looked like you were one of the top contenders for the win. And tonight you also faced the same thing, the comeback where you crashed a little bit earlier on tonight, lost the car, but then got the fast repair and then got right back in it. What does this say about sort of the resilience that you carried throughout not only the results after last week, but going into tonight and now going into the future, which it's going to be a combo that you particularly like because you've been to victory lane in that combo before?
Yeah, I mean, it's just, at the end of the day, I wouldn't say it's not necessarily resilience. It's just not giving up, I think, even though that kind of means the same thing. The issues that I usually have, some of it are out of my control, but some of it is, with what happened with Garrett earlier in this race. And then there are some things I could have done at Las Vegas better after, lagging out of that race and, other events throughout the season. So I think it's just, I got to work on really setting myself up better throughout the race and making it to the end, especially in real life. We don't have fast repairs, when stuff costs money to wreck. So I think I just got to work on kind of my race management and making it to the end of races. And obviously just spend a little bit more time on here that I haven't recently that I used to in years past. So I'm excited for next week at Chicago, and hopefully we can get into the playoffs, and then we'll give everybody a run for their money for real.
And of course, the last season, a contender for the championship. This season now, working back this points finish. Next week, Chicagoland, you're going to be running Xfinity cars next year, but you're going to be running it next week in the sim from Chicagoland. You've won in that combo before, so what's your approach? Are you going to try to be aggressive to the front early, or are you going to try to sort of play the long game? How are you going to try and make the blueprint for that next week to ensure a victory lane finish and, of course, an entrance into the Monday Night Racing playoffs this season?
Well, I'm just going to try to get that set up a little bit earlier than the day of the race that we received it today, and then practice obviously, and then try to qualify up front and stay up front, and, control the race and not mess up and lose control of it and lose track position. That's really the model for next week, and it'll apply for the rest of the races. I'm going to work really hard to try to get Market Rebellion their first iRacing championship in their debut season.
Definitely a lot of momentum on your side, especially after this finish here tonight from Michigan. Raj, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us here at Podium Esports. Want to congratulate you on the second place finish here tonight. And of course, want to wish you the best of luck moving forward to the Xfinity race at Chicagoland next week. And of course, for the rest of the season.
Thanks, man. Talk to you all later. Thanks, Ryan.
Carruth comes home in P2 tonight. A rebounding effort after crashing earlier tonight. Great points finish. That's going to give him some momentum going into Chicagoland next week. We'll kick it back to third, where Terry Radford has caught up with the Traction.GG for Thunderbird and the Rowdy man on the camera, Justin Malillo.
Well, I'll break out the old-timey holding the mic scheme here for the legend himself, the Rowdy man, Justin Malillo. Buddy, you normally only talk to me when you get wrecked or we want to do a little promo or whatever, but it's good to see you smiling. You got third, baby.
We got third tonight. Can't complain about that. Knew that we needed a good finish to stay in the points battle tonight. Just got to thank everybody back at Traction.GG. Got to thank Rowdy Energy, of course. Vote for #Blue Raspberry to win the All-Star Race event for that. And thank you to Podium Esports for all that they do. It's an incredible feeling. I knew that I needed to do an alternate strategy tonight. I felt like I had decent pace, but I knew that it wasn't going to be enough to go up there and race with those guys who are like just a little bit faster than me. So I played the strategy all night. I think I was 30th for the majority of the night, but I looked at my fuel and I was like, we can get this. We can get enough. And I don't know how SVG saved as much as he did and pulled out to as far as he did, but I thought it was going to come down to me and Raja, and it was close, but third place, I'll take that.
Well, as you can tell, we're socially distancing here due to COVID. We're many moons away from one another, but you always are a big ambassador when it comes to Rowdy Energy, Traction GG, and all the great sponsors that you got going on. How good does this make you feel going into Chicagoland in the Xfinity cars to know that you finished good here this afternoon on fuel mileage, but it's still a good finish? It's a good points day for you. And how much momentum is this going to put you towards the playoffs and the All-Star break?
it's a huge amount of momentum. I cannot stress enough that this is exactly what I needed. If I wasn't going to get a win, I needed at least a top 5 to stay in the conversation. And if the math is correct, I think with the drop, I'm only 3 points out of it right now. So if that's correct, and if that stays right, I just got to go out there and have another performance like this, and I might be talking to you guys as a playoff driver next week.
Well, I've always heard that the 3 is a very lucky number. You got 53 on there. Any chance that next week you maybe throw a little Dale Earnhardt scheme out there? Maybe I'm giving you a little influence here, but throw a little intimidator out there to show, hey, man, I'm Justin Melillo. I'm here to party, and I'm also here to win races. I know you're very fast. You got a lot of speed. We've talked a ton about how you like to drive the cars in heavy, and you like to get a good float off the exit. Is this the race that you needed to really propel yourself into there? 3 points out if your math is right. I know my math is god-awful. Oh, sorry, Mom. But you're setting yourself up pretty to get into the playoffs. And I know the All-Star break is something that you need to get a little rest and know that you get to go have fun. But what's your mindset going into the first round of the playoffs at an unknown track? I mean, Talladega is something that we really don't know.
Well, I mean, to answer the first part of your question, it's we got a really fast Traction.GG machine set up for us for next week at Chicagoland. Chicagoland's been one of my better tracks. It just really depends on the setup and everything like that. Like, the setup really didn't agree with me tonight, so that's why I felt like I had to do the different strategy, and it paid off in the end. If we do end up making the playoffs, I mean, it's not a position I'm unfamiliar with. Season 1 made it all the way to the Final Four, almost won the championship. We all know who that story goes, but listen, I'm so ecstatic to be in this position to even have a chance this far into the season.
Well, I'll say before we get off here, I don't know how much Rowdy energy you got left, but I know it's about 10 o'clock over here in the Eastern time, but I'm going to finish mine if you want to finish yours, and we can get a good laugh and show the fans how much we love our Rowdy.
I love my Rowdy. I just got a sip left. It's done. It's empty. I'm hyped up on Blue Raspberry Blue Raspberry Rowdy Energy. Go vote for that. Love Blue Raspberry. Pro 2s at Watkins Glen, my home track. That's what I want for the All-Star. That's what you should want for the All-Star. Let's do this, Rowdy Energy. Let's go.
Well, we love you, Justin Melillo. Congratulations on P3. That Traction GG Thunderbird looked amazing out there, buddy.
Thank you, Terry. Appreciate you guys.
I think
James Pike, man.
Yeah, I'm trying to process how the grape drink driver doesn't want the grape Rowdy Energy All-Star Race combo. And normally that's how that works, but maybe I'm nuts. But to the point that we were just talking about here, if you want to look at all of the options for the All-Star Race, there's your full list of flavors. Use the hashtag, take a photo of yourself drinking your Rowdy Energy, tweet to the particular thread off of the Monday Night Racing Twitter account, which you can find if you're on the Podium 2 Twitch channel by using the chat command !vote, and you may potentially influence where we go All-Star Racing on December 27th. Also, to the point that you made, Kenneth, and one that I think is very relevant given where we're headed next week, the last time we were at Chicagoland, who was the driver that went away victorious? The man you spoke with, Raja Karut, whose scheme was, shall we say, a little bit Dale Earnhardt inspired, so maybe he's the one taking the cues from Terry Radford in that sense. But in either case, final race of the regular season, Chicagoland, which is deceptively tricky. Xfinity car. That place has more bumps than you would think for a track that's as young as it is. It seems straightforward on paper, Kenneth Bueno, but I'm not necessarily convinced that it's going to play out that way in practice.
It's going to be really complicated, James. And I mean, Raja Karut, he's probably more comfortable than a lot of the other drivers in the field, knowing that he's got a good point state tonight and that he's got a really good shot to win next week based on his history. But I mean, that combo, that track is just a case of driver skill. I mean, you say that there's a lot of bumps on the track. The surface is very rough, so it does eat up tires in that case. The Xfinity cars, they're not very easy to drive. They don't have that much downforce, so you really have to play with the throttle, play with how you really adjust the car in the corners and in the pack. So it's going to be a difficult race, but I mean, for the entire sequence of the playoffs, it's going to put a lot of tension on the playoff drivers here, the drivers who are beneath that cut as they'll try to get in to the top 10 and make it into the playoffs, because the gap is really tight. There were some drivers tonight who did well. There were some drivers tonight who did poorly, that were above the cut line and below the cut line. So there was a big mix of drivers that had very different nights, especially with the fuel strategy race. And that means that it all puts it down to the Xfinity cars at Chicagoland. You got to put a very skillful combo to go victory lane racing there at Chicagoland. That's going to be a lot of fun.
So he gets the chance to walk off and win, and I literally just saw the standings come across here. So let's take a look at the point standings exiting Michigan, and let's see what we're working with entering our final race of the regular season at Chicagoland Speedway. You look at the bubble, it's going to be pretty tight. Just as I sit here and see this, and it'll come up on the screen momentarily, but you've got Ford Martin on 206 points. He's the last man in the playoffs as it stands. And then Stephen Ellis, Justin Malillo, DJ Cummings, James Pickford, Raja Cruz, and Garrett Smithley. I mean, there's not really a gap until you get to Anthony Alfredo back in 19th. And from Martin to Smithley, that's what, 8 drivers within, 12 points, if my math is right, Terry?
Something like that. You're talking to the wrong person. Alabama education here. I can halfway pronounce many people's names, but a win and you're in, James Pike. That's all I care about. A win and you are in. We only have 5 drivers with wins so far. Or 6 if you include here tonight. But you have 5 drivers in this playoff field that have won. Now, if anybody outside of that 10th place spot wins the race, Ford Martin is out unless he can gain and pass Preston Pardus, Adam Cabot, Max Kinnon, or Will Rogers, which is virtually impossible to pass Will. He's locked in my opinion. But for Bickford, for Carruth, who had an excellent P2 finish here this afternoon, and for Malillo in P3, the opportunities are endless. People like Alfredo, Garrett Smithley can win at any time here in the Monday Night Racing League. It's going to be a nail-biter coming down to the final lap next week at Chicagoland. Man, I'm already excited. Fire them up, boys. Let's get some pizza.
Lou Malvades pizza. Just to be clear on that one. I might be a little bit biased, but that's just me. But before we even get to Chicago, let's talk about some of the upcoming events in the world of Podium eSports and iRacing over the course of the next week, as we turn our attention to the Contender Series tomorrow night from Darlington Raceway. It is the next to last race of the season. We are, in all likelihood, going to lock in a few drivers into next year's Coke Series once the checkered flag falls tomorrow night. If you want to find out who those drivers are, turn to iRacing's Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook channels at 9 p.m. Then, Wednesday, a doubleheader. The Shenandoah Shine Racing Champions heads right here at Michigan International Speedway at 9 p.m. on the Podium eSports Twitch channel. And then, the ERA Gaming.GG Equity Prime Mortgage Omega Cup Winter Bowl featuring the next-gen cars at Auto Club comes your way at 10:15 p.m. Eastern on the iRacing Twitch, Facebook, and YouTube channels. That's all Wednesday. Then Sunday, it's the SimMax Cup Series powered by MPI Playoffs. First race of the round of 12 and a full-length race from Texas Motor Speedway. Green flag at 9:15 p.m. on the Podium eSports Twitch channel. Make sure to follow us on social media at Podium eSports. Once again, a big thank you to our friends at Big Green Egg for their support of tonight's Big Green Egg 187th race of the season in season number 4 of the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Rowdy Energy. And a big thank you to all the people behind the scenes who helped make our broadcast possible. For all the folks at Light Divided for providing the music that you heard before we came on air. The team at Monday Night Racing, Ford Martin, Paul Sutton, and Josh Mendoza. For our team behind the scenes at Podium eSports, Cisco Scaramuza, Gary Sexton, and John Theodore. For our camera builder, Dougie Beard, social media wizard, Cameron Auberdon, and all the folks at video.ninja, appgeneva.in, iRacing, Michael Hall, and our team on the broadcast tonight. For Kenneth Plato, Terry Bradford, Taylor Burris on pit road, and our producer, Ryan Bauer, I am James Pike, the voice of Podium eSports. Thank you so much for watching our broadcast of the Big Green Egg 180 for the Monday Night Racing Pro Series presented by Rowdy Energy. We look forward to seeing you to find out who makes the playoffs next Monday night for the virtual Chicagoland Speedway.